2023 at 6 p.m. This meeting is being held in the Harvey Hearing Room of the Town Hall 1 Metcalf Square in Winthrop. We are being televised on WCAT, and we are also live on Zoom. May I have the roll call, please?
Ms. Leonard? Yes. Mr. Lettieri?
Here.
Mr. Matucci?
Here.
Ms. Petrie? Here. Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Barry? Here. Ms. Powell?
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Leonard, can you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment tonight?
She's going to be no, any public comment? If you could if you're on anyone in Zoom with public comment, if you would unmute yourself and raise your hand, then we can bring you in. I see, I think Karen. Hi, Karen. You're all set. You just have to speak a little bit louder for us.
Are concerned. By that I meant, what improvement plan is each school going to have? And I don't mean the whole system, I mean school by school, because I believe that each school is different. You only start taking them, what is it, in third grade? So the coming certainly would be different than the middle school and the high school. It's for qualifying for graduation. Even though I don't agree that should be a qualifying feature, because I don't believe that the MCAS show are really a representative of the student's ability or a measurement of their knowledge. As we all know, lots of kids just absolutely freeze when it's time to take an exam. So I guess my question is, when are we going to see some sort of a plan for each school, not the entire system? And Laurie, I'm not, saying anything bad about you, please. I just would like to see it at each school rather than the whole system.
Well, even though it's public comment, and we're not supposed to answer questions, it is part of my school committee, my superintendent report tonight, Mrs. Chavez, so I certainly am going to mention that. November 13th is going to be the presentation by each individual school regarding their direction, the results of MCAS testing, and where we're headed in each school moving forward this year as it relates to the test results. So the November 13th meeting is when that will happen, and the reason that I'm giving that information now during public comment is because it actually is in my superintendent report.
Thank you, and I have written that down. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Is there any other comment?
Any other public comment? If you could raise your hand. I am seeing none.
Thank you. We have a special visitor tonight from the WHS Student Council. Thank you very much for being here. Can you state your name? And we're very pleased that you're able to join us.
Thank you for having me. My name is Hannah Parker, and I'm the Student Council President and the Senior Class President. I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but so far the year has been super successful. The day-to-day student life has been going really smoothly. We seniors have been trying our best to provide some leadership to the underclassmen, which has definitely helped keep it run a little smoothly. We recently had the college fair, which was very successful, and it was heavily attended by the student body. And I think that definitely helped not just the seniors, but the underclassmen as well. The student council has been super busy. We do Fun Fridays every other Friday, and we basically just play some music and pass out some candy just to get the spirits up. So that has been a top priority for us. We also did Kindness for Colleen, which is in memory of a teacher from Danvers, and we just had students write some kind notes to their teacher of their choice, and we passed those out the other week. Coming up in November, we have a dodgeball tournament. We're finalizing the details for that, but we're just trying to get the whole school involved with that. And we also have this Thanksgiving pep rally, so that's super exciting that that's coming up so soon. Also, each class has been working on their own fundraisers. The seniors have been doing their pies, and that information is all over the school and on our social media. The juniors have the country fair coming up, I believe, next weekend or the weekend after that, and that is at St. John's again. And the sophomores have homecoming coming up, and the freshmen just got their advisors, so there should be some more information coming out for them. That's about it from everyone.
Yeah, no, that's great, Hannah. We appreciate you taking the time. I know how busy your schedule is. I know your season just ended, but you have lots of other clubs and activities that you're involved in. It's helpful for the committee to hear from someone else other than me. I can be pretty boring, just reading off my list of things. So I appreciate you working with Mr. Crombie and deciding to come out and sit here. It's not easy to sit in front of a whole group of people who you really don't know. But I do think it's important for them to see the face of the students. So this has been incredibly helpful. I know that we may switch off with juniors and seniors. We're not sure how we're going to do that yet, but we want to be able to bring the information in at least monthly. So does anyone have any questions for Hannah?
Does the board have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but thank you so much for being here. We've been looking for student representation on the board on this committee for a while. And if you really find something that is coming up that is problematic, make sure and talk to your principal about it, but feel free to, after you talk about it and think about it, we'd love your thoughts, because not everything goes as planned sometimes. Not in anybody's life. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Ms.
Go do
Parker,
your
thank you
homework.
so much. We look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, see you soon.
All right, thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 16th,
Motion.
2023? Motion by Ms. Swope. Second. Second by Ms. Petrie. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed or abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention. Motion passes. May I have a motion to approve warrant SVW 24-6 in the amount of $548,573.21?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Lettieri,
Second?
second by Ms. Leonard. Any discussion? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Ms. Leonard? Yes. Mr. Lettieri?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes, sorry.
Yes. May I have a motion for payroll warrant SPW 24-6 in the amount of $820,430.18?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Petrie, second by Ms. Swope. Any discussion? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Ms. Leonard? Yes. Mr. Lettieri?
Abstain.
Mr. Matucci?
Abstain.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes. May I have a motion for payroll warrant SPW 24-7 in the amount of $853,458.89?
Motion. Second?
Motion by Ms. Petrie, second by Ms. Leonard. Any discussion? Hearing none, may I have a roll call?
Ms. Leonard? Yes. Mr. Lettieri?
Abstain.
Mr. Matucci?
Abstain.
Ms. Petrie? Yes. Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes. We have no buildings and grounds requests to consider tonight. We do not have any subcommittee reports tonight. Superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you. Just begin with professional development, which seems to be happening quite a bit here in the district, which we're pleased with. We have a big one coming up on November 7th. It's our 5-district partnership, full-day professional development for staff. So on November 7th, although it'll be voting day and there'll be no students in school, all of our staff is participating in a full day of professional development with 4 other districts. So it's Everett, Chelsea, Revere, Lynn, not Lynn anymore,
Everett, Chelsea, Revere, and us.
and Winthrop. So it's actually 4 of the 5.
Malden's
And-
no longer with us.
Yeah, so Malden dropped out of the 5 district. So it's 4, we're trying as a group to get Lynn in, that's why I said Lynn, hoping to get them to come in. We're super excited about the keynote speaker. It's Dr. Danisa Amante Jackson. She is the keynote. Laurie and I have had the opportunity to hear her speak a number of times. She is engaging, and it's hard not to pay attention to her with her breadth of knowledge about a number of things, but primarily, SEL, or social emotional learning. She's done a lot of DEI work, and she's just a kind human who's been in the space that we're all in as an educational facility and the work that we do. And she just has a grace about her that it's just, like I said, it's hard not to pay attention to her. So she's been a keynote speaker at a number of events that Laurie and I have been at, and we were thrilled with the 5-district partnership being able to engage her for our annual full day. She is going to be speaking about overcoming the challenges that are perceived when implementing SEL, as well as UDL. So another exciting part of the day is after Dr. Amante Jackson is able to speak, we have a group of students that will follow her. And all the districts will be zoomed in, watching, and being able to talk and chat with this representative student panel. And then in addition to that, I had put at your table, in front of your nameplate, just a list of the different opportunities that our teachers have to choose from throughout the day. And it's not just sitting and watching somebody speak during the individual breakout sessions. Those breakout sessions are, not only are they engaging, but they're interactive with individual speakers. So you pick the topic that you want to talk about, and you get put into a group, and you're able to participate with people from other school districts. So you're not just surrounded with your own people. So you're getting to share information and hear stories from other school districts and gain some thoughts and perspective, as well as resources from other school districts. So it's a pretty intricate process when you think about it. We're the smallest school in the partnership, and so we put out a Google Docs sign up, and people have to sign in, and there's check-ins, and then during each session, there's check-ins with the presenters, but also at the end, there's a follow-up where people can sort of debrief what they have heard and learned. So it's extremely interactive, which is exciting. And then at the end, we also do ask people for feedback to rate the sessions that they were in, and what did they get out of it, and what do they plan to do with the information they've learned. And then we also, in addition to that, we have a group of people working here on something that's extremely important to Laurie and I, and has been since the inception of the threat assessment team that was put together approximately 5 years ago. So that's a group of staff members and community members in Winthrop that works on threat assessment and what to do, the protocols for that, the people that are engaged, when it happens, evaluating a student, who's involved in that. If there was a crisis, so we have a whole team of people that have specific roles within the district, and also people from the outside, part of the police department, fire department, that also have roles. So we really need to relook at that and refine it. We've had some people come and go, so we want to make sure that all of our stakeholders on that team are still here, and if not, if there's new people, many people have been trained already at the end of last year and this year to bring more people to that table, so that when there is an incident in a school, whether it's an individual student incident or whether it's a larger school incident, that the threat assessment team is rolled out, and everybody knows what their part is, and what everyone else plays, and we're able to react to situations with a script and a protocol that is backed by, and I'm going to lose the name of it, but it's
CSTAG,
CSTAG, which has a name.
Comprehensive
And I think if you remember,
School Threat
yeah,
Assessment.
comprehensive school threat assessment. We actually had people from Revere and the state police come out to watch our training 3 years ago, or 4 years ago now.
Right before COVID.
Right before COVID. So again, we wanted to get that group back together and make sure we're all on the same page. So we're excited about that for the 7th. Some other little items that are going on. We're down a custodian at the Gorman Fort Banks right now. One of our custodial staff is out for a period of time. We have had a little bit of trouble filling in with substitutes for that. You spoke with Mikkel Filipko, who's our who's our facilities manager, and I believe we have two candidates that are gonna be able to fill in to cover that. Right now, we've been using our own internal custodians to do some overtime, so some of our night guys also working during the day. But now that we know it's gonna be a little bit longer, we really needed to bring some more people in to make sure that we were keeping up with the needs of that building. I talked a little earlier when Mrs. Chavez had mentioned it, MCAS presentation, we were going to do it this week. Principals are still working as of Wednesday. They still had some work to do with their internal teams. You need to have slides and presentation slides in your packet by Thursday. So we felt as though moving it to the next meeting would be more beneficial. They could finish the work internally with their staff, be able to share that information with the staff, and then be able to present to the school committee. So we look forward to that at the next meeting. I had the opportunity to circle back with Senator Lydia Edwards this past week about our earmark funding that we received through the good work of Senator Edwards, $250,000 in earmark funding. Jen Powell, Chairman Jen Powell, and I had sort of a vision about asking for earmark money, that I learned about the opportunity to ask for that. I think the second year I was here, Joey Boncory helped me understand that it's, it's good to ask for that money, and people don't know what they don't know, so if you don't ask, you can't be considered. So Ms. Powell and myself spent quite a bit of time with Senator Edwards, talking to her about the state of our schools when it comes to ELL students and the work that's expected of us by the Department of Education, the difficulty it is finding ELL staff and ML teachers, and then, of course, the rise in the number of students that have come to not just our community, but all the communities across the Commonwealth. So doing some strategic work and laying out what we thought we needed, Senator Edwards advocated for us, and that earmark funding was granted. The way we thought the earmark funding is coming in a little bit differently than we thought. So we were advised, probably maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that we actually had to write almost like a grant proposal. So we have to write out what exactly we're gonna be doing with that money. And it works in a reimbursement manner, which is not what we were expecting, but we'll do whatever it takes in order to receive that funding. So some of the work, the follow-up work that I was doing with Senator Edwards this week was just giving her an update on how we thought we were gonna be utilizing that money throughout the year. And we wanna be strategic about it, and we wanna make sure that we're able to provide the reimbursement documentation that we need in order to receive the funds into the district. So we have not completed the full process. The state is gonna be reaching out to me, I hope this week. We've been waiting to talk to us about the exact documentation that they're looking for in order to give us our first round of money. And some of the things, just for the public to understand, but also for the school committee, some of the places that we plan to utilize these funds within the school year are in supporting the opening of a parent information center. We haven't had a parent information center in Winthrop Public Schools for the last few years, since, if you remember, Miss Judy Bono, she used to do all the parent registration. We turned parent registration back to the schools when Miss Bono retired, and that has been going well. But as is every other position in the school district, our secretarial staff is slim and on occasion overwhelmed in terms of how much work they're doing. And the other piece of it that's been difficult is when families are coming to register for school, they go right to the building, and it's not a call and make an appointment, it's to ring the bell, and I'm here to register my student. And we have found over the past couple of years that many of our families who don't speak English are not coming in with their own personal interpreter, so we have to find someone to do that work. But by the time the person comes to the door and says they would like to register a student, we figure out what type of language they speak, and then we go to a classroom and grab a teacher or grab an instructional aide, or utilize one of our devices to do the interpreting. We've realized through feedback and us soliciting that feedback that it's not the most welcoming environment when people come to the door to register their students, because, as you know, school front offices can be somewhat chaotic. If somebody has to go Student comes in, they need to go to the bathroom, somebody fell at recess, they need a Band-Aid. That central location is where it all happens. So we looked into utilizing these funds to reopen that Parent Information Center so that it was one central location, and families would know what time it was open, and we would be able to have staff there that had the opportunity to interpret for some of our families, or meet them and greet them with an understanding that we're going to use a device, or we're going to use one of our translation systems, which is also part of this funding, where we were able to translate documentation, all of our registration documentation appropriately for all of the languages that we believe we need. The people that will have present in that center during very specific times are also able to translate. They worked on took some work. If you remember, the registration center used to be at the Gorman Fort Banks. When you approach the Gorman Fort Banks, there's a door to the right before you get to the main door. And that is where we held registration before. Due to our attention to safety and security, we felt strongly that if we were going to have people coming to that door continuously without necessarily appointments, that we needed to have a stronger screening system, and we also needed to have a stronger security system inside that physical space, so that there was no access to the interior part of the school building. So if you're coming to register a student there, you will have to be buzzed in, you'll have to go through the same RAPTOR process and have a license or something to get you in there. But once you're in that space, unless you have an authorized code, you won't be able to get into the interior of the Gorman Fort Bank School. We also put new cameras on the outside. Some of the funding is going to do that to enhance the visual of people who are outside trying to come in from the inside of the space, because right now you can see to a certain point, but if you're sitting at a desk across the room, you may not be able to. So,
It'll also all be connected to the police department
Correct.
cameras as well.
correct, so there's additional money that we need to connect those systems, like we have our other systems connected for emergency purposes. So all of that is up and in the process. We're not quite there. We had to put a new door in, so, but all of that funding is coming from that earmark, so we're thrilled for that. Just a couple of other things that will be happening, projected to happen with that earmark funding, is purchasing of some additional classroom readers for children, so books within the classroom in multiple languages. We have not done that yet, but we are going to be seeking some input from our staff. And then, if needed, any additional funding for programs like CASA and 21st, because they are also grant funded. You heard the good work that CASA is doing. 21st is doing a lot of the same in hiring people who are able to communicate with our students in their own languages. So being able to support them, and also potentially able to support funding for some of our after-school programs, athletic fees, or clubs for some of our students who are having situations where families are struggling. We've not really designed that out yet, but we are in the midst of working on that. A little more info at our admin meeting last week. The focus was on school improvement plans and working on those improvement plans and looking at different templates that we may want to use as a group. There's a lot of work going on with that. Certainly taking into consideration the feedback from the school committee regarding adding some data to those plans. So we're in the process of getting that done, and also talked a lot about evaluations, and one of my goals, which is a discussion for a few minutes later, in getting the evaluations of everyone in the district, from myself down to classroom teachers and others, to provide meaningful feedback in those evaluations, and to have that feedback consistent across the district. So those will be look-fors when I'm looking at the administration, when the administration is looking at teachers, to be providing that and having that evident in teacher evaluations. So excited to be getting that work done, and also focusing in on the IPTIPs for teachers. So making sure that our teachers are coming to us, and the principals are able to plan out for them where they're at with their licensure, where they're going, and what they need to do. So that was the focus on that.
Lisa, Ms. Howard, I'm sorry, can you just elaborate on an IPTIP since I think that's not a,
It's an individual professional development plan.
thank you.
So the Department of Education requires any teacher with professional status to have one. We made the decision last year with the WTA during contract negotiations to have all of our teachers use it, even those who are on provisional or initial, so that everybody always has a plan to where you're going in your next step. And it gives the principals, you know, real clear picture of where everybody is, what they need. It gives me ideas of what people need for PD offerings. Right now, one of the things for individuals with professional status is you have to have a certain number of PDPs in special education, in ESL service and training and all. So it helps make it really clear for all of us where everybody is and where they need to go. And it helps teachers, because it's not something you think about on a daily basis, you know, it's like keeping up with your certification and, you know, so I think it's made the principals and the admin feel much more connected to the individual teachers in their buildings.
Okay, great, thank you.
I have to go get my inhaler.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna have to do just quickly.
Okay.
Laurie's gonna be like, go get my inhaler.
Yeah. Okay, so, school reports, the GFB had their Halloween and autumn celebrations tomorrow. The high school drama club is visiting the Fort Banks this Friday with, the performance focusing on the SMART core values that they use, at the GFB. And they'll be doing 3 shows, one for each grade, K1 and 2. Rich Honan scheduled to visit the GFB next Thursday for 3 Veterans Day assemblies. Awesome Technology is gonna be doing a full Wi-Fi conductivity test, on the PD day at the fort, where we've had some crossing of lines with the different buildings and where the internet was running through, so they've been trying to untangle that. But there's something about certain areas at the Fort Banks with the cement walls near the staircases and by the library that prohibit some of the connectivity. So they're gonna try and do a full set of testing to see whether or not we need to be upgrading switches, whether we need to be replacing access points, all these things I never thought I'd know about. And then be able to kind of put together a list of what's gonna be the first thing we're gonna do after this untangling kind of piece is done, what's gonna be the priority wise to replace first. And see if we can't get theirs in a better position. And then November 14th, the faculty meeting will have the police department in for staff ALICE training at the middle school, that is. ATC has Kindness Week photos on the website. They also have the Scholastic Book Fair that went on this past week. They had a K-9 presentation for all of grade 3 students today. And we're pleased to share that all grade 3 and grade 4 students had a presentation by the district attorney's office about bullying and internet safety. And it was a chance for them to share and ask questions. And all grade 5 students were lucky enough to have a visit by the author Erin Petty, a local author who has written books such as The Peculiar Haunting of Thelma B. and Thelma B. in Toil and Trouble. She spoke to each class about being an author and about the writing process. And then Trunk or Treat was a huge success for ATC and GFB's PTOs. Always an exciting time for the kids. They're all very excited for tomorrow. It was all a buzz in the building today. The middle school has progress reports for the first trimester. They were shared out last week. Student council sold pink bracelets last week at lunch for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. All the money raised will be donated to Survivors by the Sea. The student council is organizing their annual food drive called Food Wars this week at the middle school, and all items donated will be delivered to the local food pantry. The grade with the most points will receive an ice cream party to celebrate their most donations. And the Scholastic Book Fair is being run by the PTO at the middle school this week, Tuesday through Thursday. And the cross-country teams, boys and girls, just wrapped their successful season. Coaches Adam Crombie and Mike Kirby said the kids had a great season and they can't wait for next year. And the middle school is starting to prepare for the upcoming middle school basketball season, and more details to come once their tryout schedule is finalized. And then at the high school, we had the 11th grade took the PSATs today. Grade 10 will take them tomorrow. And Friday, first quarter grade to close already.
Yeah,
You
that
good?
was it, yeah. Apologize for that. And that's it before public relations.
Okay.
It's a lot, I know.
Can I ask a question? Yes.
Thank you for that report. Just two things that I wanted to say and then one question. One is thank you so much for the breakdown of the PT day. That's so interesting. And I just have to give a shout out. My colleague, Dr. Tatiana Cruz from Simmons University, will be doing 1.16 integrating Latinx studies into middle and high school humanities. So I just wanted to thank you. That was really fun to see. And are those taking place at one of the local schools, or is it all online?
It's all on Zoom.
Okay, it's all.
We do it all on Zoom. We did the first year in person, and we used 3 different sites. We used Everett High School, Malden High School, and Revere High School. And the issues of parking and lunch and all these kind of things made it very difficult to work it out. And then we found the Zoom portion works great, and it works great for our presenters, and it helps keep the costs down then when they don't have to come out. So that's a big piece for it. And we have a couple of our own teachers, Brittany Daly and Ray Leonardo, are teaching a course each during it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Ray's doing one on using AI and ChatGPT in the classroom, so it should be interesting.
And then I have one more compliment, one more question. One is thank you so much for working with Senator Edwards. It's really exciting to get that money, and obviously that's such a need on the ELL students, so it's really pleased to see that. I guess I just had one question, which was the school improvement plans that you're working on. Is there a plan to represent those to the school committee?
Yes. Earlier this year than in the past, that was the focus we took. You know, they're working on plans that are hedging them towards next year, and what is next year gonna look like? And, you know, it's difficult when you don't know what your budget is, and certainly, and you have people coming in and talking about the school improvement plans and what they'd like to see. But we did tear it back a little bit earlier, I think last year, the year before, we were doing them late in like May or June. So we're hoping to have them completed, I believe we said
Early
by.
March.
Yeah, back to the committee in early March.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions?
Just one.
Yes.
And getting back to the funding we got, the 240, and it's good to see most of the stuff you were talking about are one-time expenses, right? Because we can't be using this money for reoccurring expenses and then
Right.
be in a position next year where we're closing down everything we worked to open this year.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, one-time expenses are typically, as we did with a lot of the ESSER funding, 2 and 3, are large projects that you hope will sustain you for 3 to 5 years as you purchase something, whether it's a long-term program or long-term curriculum that you can pay for all up front. The difficulty comes when you're so strapped for staff. You know, I used to love to live in the plan 3 to 5 years ahead of time, but with budgets now, you're sort of stuck in the moment. So hopefully, we will be able to, at least with the people that we're funding it out of, which are the folks at the Parent Information Center, that we'll be able to sustain that in some way. It's part-time that they'll be in the Parent Information Center. However, if they weren't doing it part-time, we'd have to have them in individual schools to be able to talk to people in different languages, which we are struggling to do now. So those are the only positions temporarily that are gonna be used to be funded with that particular money. When we get to the priorities of the school budget, it may not be those 2 positions or part-time positions that are not able to be funded. It may be something that is lower down on the priority level as we start to do the budget. So, but yes, to answer your question directly, the majority of the funding is being used for one-time purposes. You know, working with Senator Edwards, the goal would be to continue to advocate for earmark funding. That's not to look a gift horse in the mouth, and, you know, maybe we don't get 250,000 next year, but maybe we get enough to support the things that we will not be able to carry forward in the budget. That's the hope. And I, the continued conversations I've had with Senator Edwards have been amazing. I mean, she's reached out to me, I've reached out to her. Eric Ridister, who happens to be her clerk, or I'm not sure what his exact title, he's a former student from Winthrop High School, I know him well, so the conversations have been pretty open and helpful. So, and Senator Edwards is pretty creative and forward-thinking. She just sort of gets it. So it's been a pleasure to work with her.
Any other questions? Do we have any homeschool applications?
We actually do have one homeschool application of an 11th grader that I do recommend accepting the plan that's been put together.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the homeschool application?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Berry, second by Ms. Swope. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions or objections? Motion passes. Do we have appointments, resignations, retirements, or postings?
Not this week.
And leave of absence. We have no new business. Under unfinished business, we have the superintendent's 2023-2024 goals. I believe those are in motion and being sent to the appropriate subcommittee.
Correct. I have finished drafting them, and in the years past, I've gone to the superintendent evaluation subcommittee first, who then looks them over and, I believe solicits information, or at least shares them with the rest of the school committee. And, my goals last year, obviously, we all recall, they were, sort of the calendar of my goals has been wonky for a couple of years. So you will see some of my goals as a continuation goal. However, initially, they were planned to be more than a one-year goal anyway. What will be different in the long run will be the action steps
Okay,
along
great.
with those.
And we have the policy review that is also ongoing and in the process with the subcommittee.
Yes, we will, we need to reschedule the subcommittee meeting that was for tonight to a later date, so I'll get on that tomorrow. We'll get some dates on the calendar to be able to start that process of reviewing what MASC has recommended for adjusting our policy.
Okay, great. And public relations.
Public relations, I had in front of me before I had an asthma attack, so let me see if I can dig that back up. I have no idea what I did with it, but I'm sure Patty has a copy. Nope, I have one right here. So public relations, congratulations to freshman Ryan Murphy, who finished 15th out of 55 at the MIAA Division III state tournament for golf. Congratulations to the JV cheering team, who finished first place at the Milford High School Invitational last weekend and first place this weekend as well, so congrats to the team. Class of 2025 is running a 50-50 raffle in conjunction with the Country Fair. The tickets are available from October 11th through November 17th, $5 per entry. It's all over social media, but Danielle Reardon has a Venmo, so if you look on the school's website, you can get that Venmo, or you can contact the school directly. Winthrop High School Drama Society will be performing Freaky Friday, a new musical, on November 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Neil Shapiro Center for Performing Arts. Tickets are $15 for adults and $10 for students and seniors. Again, pop onto Winthrop High School's website, you can find that. Winthrop Middle School Council is organizing their annual food drive called Food Wars this week. The items donated will be delivered to the Winthrop Food Pantry. It's always a big take-in. The Middle School Site Council sold pink bracelets last week at lunch for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and all that money is raised is going to Survivors by the Sea, which is a local group here in Winthrop. And the Winthrop class of 2024 is running their annual Thanksgiving pie fundraiser, as you heard Hannah speak of. That's sponsored by Spinelli's. The pies are $20. The orders are due November 14th. You can contact Corin Streeter or Doreen Arroyo. And again, those are on the school's website and certainly all over Instagram, Facebook, and whatever other social media strands are out there. And I believe that is all.
Any public relations from the committee?
Election day is Tuesday, don't forget.
Get to vote.
Yes.
A week from tomorrow.
Just
Week from
Jim-
tomorrow. Not tomorrow, week from
Not
tomorrow.
this Tuesday,
Next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll repeat, I'll tag along with what Lane said, Election Day Tuesday, all precincts except precinct 4 will be voting at the regular at Golden Drive, and precincts 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 will be voting at the old middle school gymnasium. Also, piggyback on what Laurie had said earlier, the Winthrop Banks and the ATC PTOs put on a fantastic trunk or treat. Over 850 kids, all extremely well behaved. I mean, it was just a really good event. Tomorrow night being Halloween, the center is back with the Halloween haunt, expecting close to 1,400. And always a fantastic time. It's been off for the last few years with COVID and such, but and just to the kids and parents, just be very careful tomorrow night. It looks like it's gonna be clear, but very brisk. But be very careful. It's just that time of year, leaves on the ground, slippery, whatever, but enjoy the night. It's a great time for all the youth. It's a great time for everyone tomorrow night, so that is it.
Wonderful. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Ms. Petrie. Ms. Petrie, second by Ms. Berry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions, objections? Hearing none. We are adjourned. Thank you.